Chapter 7. Ollie sat on the hillside just behind his family home. It was well into the night now, and both stars and a south-rising moon lit the sky. The clouds of the day had moved into the west, carried along by the wind. A few paces away, cradled amongst the tall autumn grass, Tuck snored, his sides rising and falling rhythmically. The night's chill raised goosebumps along Ollie's arm and the back of his neck, but the world lay quiet, and so it was worth suffering the cold. From where he sat, Ollie could see the tops of the outer homes, including the wooden shingles of Inez's cabin and the long planks that sloped along the half-dozen barns filled with restless cattle. Behind those, past where the hill turned to grasslands, the tree line of the wood loomed, a long shadow below the horizon stretching out for miles. Beyond it, the Nevada Mountains consumed the horizon, their snowy peaks gleaming in the moonlight. Ollie held a small needle connected to a forearm's length of black thread, carefully working to mend a tear in his cloak. It was cathartic, piercing the fabric with the needle's point, then pulling it back and watching the edges squeeze together. "Oi," said a quiet voice, startling Ollie from his thoughts and making the needle slip. Ollie muttered a curse, then looked up to see Layla, wrapped in one of their few blankets, making her way around the house towards him. She moved in near silence, hardly disturbing the moon-soaked grass. "Oi," Ollie said, turning his eyes to a now bleeding thumb. Layla pushed aside the curls of her hair and sat beside him, looking out toward the eastern horizon. The way her forehead creased as she squinted toward the mountains reminded Ollie of their father. Wonder came so naturally to her, as though she existed always on the edge of being awed. Ollie wiped his bloody thumb on the grass nearby. "It's late, eh?" "Aye," Layla nodded. "I like it. Might be the most beautiful time, I think. Moon's starting to dip, not a cloud up there. Best time for praying." Ollie snorted, looking back to the fabric as he worked the needle again. Layla eyed him, and Ollie thought she'd pick one of her lectures, but she only shook her head. "So I'll be off to talking with old Rosetta tomorrow. Gonna see if she ain't have work for me. Didn't think her garden needs tending weeks before snowfall." "It won't," Layla shrugged. "But she knows me. Maybe she'll want help with something or other. Heard she bought a whole heap of milk, probably for cheese curdling. Maybe she'll need help with that, or, I don't know, chopping firewood maybe? She must need help with something. She's getting pretty old now." "Aye, she is." Tuck rolled over in his sleep and gave a quiet yip, then continued snoring. Ollie paused his sewing and looked him over. "Palmadits chiatspats." Layla leaned forward, looking from Ollie and then to Tuck. "What does that mean? What'd you say?" Ollie smirked. "Palmadits chiatspats. They're the words of the wood." "I know that, you dig nut. I want to know what they mean." Ollie kept his eyes down as he finished the last stitch. "It ain't nothing. Just words is all." "Oi, just words." Layla crossed her arms, then fell back into the grass, eyes in the stars. "If Pa were around, he'd tell me." Ollie felt the words rattling out of his mouth before his thoughts could catch up. "Well, he ain't, so let it go." For the briefest of moments, Ollie saw it. A reflection of light at the corner of Layla's eye. The briefest hint of a tear. Then she sat up with a sigh, turning her head so Ollie couldn't see. Guilt and anger boiled in his gut, but Ollie pressed his lips together as he tried to think about the torn fabric. The problem was what the problem always was. Ollie's hands and mouth moved faster than he could think. "Layla, She spun towards him. "I ain't asking for you to take me into the wood or nothing, but give me something. Teach me the words at least." "Why? What do you need to know wood speak for?" "I don't know. Then why? Why not leave it alone? move on. Be glad you ain't got to deal with it all. And just what? Get some boring job picking vegetables or sweeping floors? That's good work, Layla. Mama's been doing it a long time now. Layla clicked her tongue and looked away. Fingers clenched, and then a heartbeat later, she whipped her head back around. You and I both know where she wants to be. Ollie looked to the wood in the distance, teeth pressing into his bottom lip. But Layla pushed on. But good for her, eh? Stuck inside, earning a slave's wage, paying off Pa's debts. You'll have to get over the fact that maybe I ain't all that excited about it. Maybe I want something else. Fine. Do something else. Just not in there. Ollie jabbed a finger east. A gentle fog settled over the wood now, making it look more and more like the forest of horrors it was. I told you, I ain't talking about that, all right? I get it. I just want to learn. Ollie shook his head. Learn about what? About it. Layla shoved her hands out, pointing to the wood. All of it. Why? You ain't got to worry about it. That ain't the point, Ollie. It's just, then what is the point? Ollie's voice rose right along with his frustration. I've been in there every God's forsaken day for 10 years? More? I've got so many scars that if a Nej flayed me, my skin wouldn't even make a good rug. I don't sleep without nightmares, can't walk around without stairs, and for what? Our bellies are still grumbling, aren't they? I'm doing my best to keep you clothed, fed, and away from that place, and now you want to learn about it? Layla flinched, and something about the way her jaw clenched or her chin dropped made Ollie warm with satisfaction. Pa loved it, Layla said. The wood, I mean. Ollie's shoulders slumped, and any satisfaction he'd felt seeped away like water on cracked earth. Even finishing up the stitch, which usually gave him a quiet sense of joy, felt dull and pointless. Silence settled between the siblings. No sound emanated from the house behind them, which meant their mother was either sleeping or listening. Probably listening. Aye, Ollie said after a long moment. Pa loved it. That's about all I know about him, you know. Can't remember much else. Ollie closed his eyes and forced down a groan. Layla leaned forward, looking to the distant wood. I'm gonna learn about it, Ollie, with or without you. I ain't trying to be stubborn, but it's about the only way I'm gonna learn about him. Ollie looked up to the sky and cursed. He was too tired for this. If his father were here, Layla wouldn't be crying and wouldn't feel... Ollie didn't know exactly how she felt. Alone, lost, he understood those pretty well. Remember in your dreams. Huh? It's what the words mean. Palamidits, chiatspats. It means remember in your dreams. Or something close anyway. Layla looked her brother square in the eyes, wrinkling her nose, and said, That don't make a lick of sense. You asked, Ollie said with a shrug. There's her answer. Layla leaned forward, looking about as eager as a child at Noonfest. What's he supposed to remember? Ollie shrugged. Everything. That is the dumbest thing I've heard. Little about the wood makes any sense. Layla smiled wide. She mouthed the words, and Ollie thought he could see her playing them out over and over again in her head. She'd practiced them when he wasn't around, and in a few days' time they'd roll off her tongue as smooth as butter on hot bread. She'd sound like their father, which was what Ollie feared the most. Everything she did, Layla did it the way Roy Riker had done. She'd have been his spitting image if he'd had the chance to train her in the wood. Thank you, she whispered. Then she lay back down, eyes up at the stars, but mind already somewhere else. For everything. Ollie shook his head. I wouldn't thank me yet. I ain't bringing home nothing much lately. It'll be a tight winter, and, well, I'm sorry. Layla hit him. She was quick, rising up enough to reach Ollie's head with the back of her hand. Aye, Ollie hissed. Oh, no, you don't. Don't you dare apologize for me having to earn my own keep. I don't intend to be a lazy clod my whole life, eh? And I ain't be needing your pity. We'll be fine this winter, always are. Besides, there's got to be work around here that don't involve me spreading my legs to someone further up the hill. Ollie shrugged. This'll be your what, 19th winter? Lots of other lady folk are married by now. Mama was. Aye, Layla snapped. Find me a good man and I won't wait. Till then, I plan on earning me keep. Ollie shifted, setting the cloak aside. Ain't just money, you know. Huh? With Winston, Ollie said. I mean, if you did marry him, money wouldn't be the only part. What do you mean? Think about it. He can go around and tell everyone else what to do, even Mr. Yiggins. If you married him, well... Ollie saw the blow coming this time, and he leaned aside so Layla's backhanded swing went wild. Layla stood up, jabbing her finger in Ollie's face. Don't you say it, Oliver Ricker. Don't you say it. Ollie shook his head, just thinking that a bit of that kind of power might be nice is all. Layla snorted and folded her arms. Power, whatever that word means. I ain't never met anyone with it who wasn't more than a bit twisted. You only ever met the totes. Like I said. See, you could do it different, maybe. Marry Winston and, I don't know, do some good for this place. Some good for Ma, for sure. Layla kept silent, and Ollie thought she may actually be considering. He took the moment to slide his thread and needle into the small pouch on his hip. I think, Layla said, words seeping out slow and thoughtfully, if I married Winston so I could have power or whatever, then I'd be someone who shouldn't have it anyway. Ollie shrugged. The next few minutes dragged on in silence, and the air grew colder. Layla scooted next to Ollie, and he placed his cloak over her. Eventually, she even let out a wide yawn. It's late, Ollie. We best get to sleep. I gotta earn a few chits tomorrow. Oi, Ollie stood, then turned and pulled Layla to her feet. And I'll be back tomorrow with something big. We'll be all right this winter, promise. Something big? What do you mean to do? He tried to smile, but his attempt only made Layla frown deepen. Hunt? Before she could reply, Ollie turned and gave a small whistle. Tuck opened one tired eye, turning it lazily toward Ollie. Layla leaned down, patting her knees invitingly towards him. Come on, boy. Tuck stretched, got onto his paws, yawned widely, then trotted over to Layla, who began scratching him behind his ears. Then, in her best imitation of Ollie, Layla looked at Tuck and said, Palmodi Chiapat. Tuck cocked his head and panted, still staring at Layla. Palmadits Chiapat. Let me try again. Palmadits Chiatspats, Ollie said the words slowly, letting Layla listen and catch on. She repeated them, and Ollie nodded. I still don't get it, she said. What do you want him to remember? Me? Us? Layla snorted, like he's going to forget. Ollie said nothing, and Layla turned to him, one hand still scratching Tuck. Wait, really? Ollie nodded toward the wood. The call is strong, and Tuck follows me into it each day. Eventually, it will win out. Those words, they're like my own call. They keep him here, ours, for now. But eventually, he'll go mad, Layla said, looking down at Tuck with fresh eyes. Like all the cattle. I wouldn't let him go that far. Layla paused, eyes moving from Ollie to Tuck and back. Is that what happened to Pa and the others? Did they go crazy? Ollie looked away, teeth grinding involuntarily as his imagination dragged old memories up from the dark. He looked to the wood, the sky, the road, anywhere to find a distraction. And in the rare appearance of a miracle, he found one. Oi, you see that? Ollie said, pointing at the bottom of the hill, where a line of moving shadows seemed to emerge from the dark. He squinted. Wagons, I think. The merchants. Layla stood beside him, squinting. How in the deep did you see that? Odd, they ain't got no lanterns. Layla shrugged. Moon is bright enough. Maybe. He thought of the moon's cycles, counting days. That wasn't right. The merchants who traveled into Watchville throughout the year were, if nothing else, consistent. The first of the wagons shouldn't be arriving until just after the first snowfall, a week or more away. Ain't right, though. They're early and coming by night. Ollie could feel his heart quicken. He had nothing to sell, and now no more time to prepare. They only stayed a week, no more, no less. Then they were gone, and their money with them. Layla grabbed Ollie's shoulders and squeezed. Oi, they're here now. By night and early and all that. Best not to worry. There'll be time enough to gawk when they're settled in the morning. Ollie followed Layla into their home, mind unsettled. The traders would only be here so long, and if Ollie couldn't sell them a few good pelts, then there'd be no redemption for that winter. Which meant his time was up, and his options scarce.